Clutching the crumpled wad of cash inside trembling fingers, Angad counted slowly beneath the flickering yellow light leaking from a broken tea stall roof. 600 rupees. That was all that remained now. His final reserve. His final fragile protection against the endless appetite of Kolkata. For several long moments, he simply stood there motionless beside the wet roadside, listening to the city breathing around him like some gigantic sleepless organism. A tram groaned somewhere beyond the fogged intersection. Water splashed beneath passing tires. Distant laughter echoed briefly from a drunken alley before dissolving into silence once more. Then gradually, with the slow mechanical obedience of a man no longer directing his own life, Angad turned towards the Adda, the underbelly of the city, where desperation purchased forgetfulness, where broken men disappeared quietly beneath narcotics and humid darkness. Withdrawal had already begun tightening itself around his body. His jaw trembled faintly, his fingers twitched uncontrollably, while sweat gathered beneath the tangled strands of hair hanging over his face. Inside the narrow den, nobody looked at him twice. Men sat slumped beneath stained walls, their hollow eyes drifting through chemical fog and exhaustion, while an ancient ceiling fan rotated overhead with a tired metallic whine. Money changed hands without words. 560 rupees vanished instantly from Angad's palm, surrendered without hesitation for the poison his body now craved more faithfully than sleep, more faithfully than dignity, and more faithfully than survival itself. The little that remained, he spent on a laddu wrapped carelessly inside an old newspaper near the doorway. The concoction slid downward slowly, coiling itself around his senses with silent efficiency. Then gradually, the world began loosening around him. Streetlights stretched unnaturally across the wet road. Voices became distant vibrations. Faces melted into color and movement beneath the trembling neon haze of Kolkata night. The city dissolved around him slowly, until finally there was nothing left at all. When consciousness returned, it arrived violently. The stench struck first: rotting waste, urine, stagnant sewage trapped beneath humid morning heat. Angad gasped instinctively, his throat dry and cracked like burnt cloth. His body lay twisted inside a drainage gutter beside a rusted roadside fence. One arm submerged partially beneath thick black water, clogged with filth and floating garbage. Flies buzzed endlessly nearby, while somewhere beyond the alley, a vegetable vendor shouted into waking streets of Kolkata. His lips had split open during the fall, dried blood flaking against parched skin, while a deep, relentless pulse hammered through his skull with brutal rhythm. Fragments returned slowly. The powder, the sweetness of the laddu, neon lights, then darkness swallowing everything whole. Panic rose quietly inside him then, cold, slow, inescapable. For the first time in many months, Angad saw himself clearly. Only ruin remained now, a body collapsing silently through forgotten corners of the city. He dragged himself upward weakly, fingers gripping the rusted fence for balance, and then, through blurred, exhausted eyes, he noticed the school. Its compound wall stretched along the empty road beneath pale dawn light, scarred by rain stains and years of neglect. Near the edge of the pavement, broken chalk pieces lay scattered beside crushed paper cups and dust. Something ancient stirred quietly inside him, something buried beneath narcotics, beneath grief, beneath months of humiliation and decay. His trembling fingers reached towards the chalk almost unconsciously. White, yellow, faded blue, red, small broken fragments discarded by the children who never know what they had returned to him. He gathered them carefully into his pocket, holding them with the tenderness of sacred relics rescued from ruin. Then silently he approached the empty streets of wall. One line emerged slowly, then another, then curves, shadows, depth rising gradually from broken color and dust. His movements became feverish, yet strangely controlled. As though his hands remembered a forgotten language his mind could no longer fully understand. Years of grief poured themselves silently into the wall. Years of addiction, years of guilt, years of abandonment translated now into color and formed beneath trembling fingers stained with gutter water and chalk dust. By the time dawn fractured fully across the horizon, the goddess had emerged, incomplete yet alive. The same unfinished vision Ashan had carried inside his own soul, now resurrected beside a forgotten school compound through the hands of a ruined man standing barefoot inside the dust of Kolkata. A crowd had gathered silently behind him, tea vendors, rickshaw pullers, office clerks pausing before another ordinary morning, school workers staring in speechless disbelief at the impossible illusion rising from the wall. Then unexpectedly, coins began falling near his feet. Crumpled notes followed, offered not as pity but as recognition. 680 rupees, and among them one crisp 100-rupee note untouched by sweat or dirt. Hope returned quietly, fragile, faint, yet alive enough to hurt. Later that afternoon, he exchanged the coins for notes at a petrol pump, brought a proper meal, soap, water, and finally 2 fresh boxes of colored chalk. His salvation had not arrived through mercy or forgiveness. It arrived through broken chalk pieces scattered beside a school wall at dawn. And for the first time in years, Angad was no longer merely surviving inside Kolkata. He was creating within it.
Where stories begin.